When I was about 9 years old, I had my first experience running code. Not on a computer, but in my grandparents' kitchen. I was standing next to my uncle, who was reading out DOS commands. Symbol after symbol, word after word, line after line, I took notes. We were trying to build a boot disk to run one of these popular jump and run games. For those of you who have never seen a boot disk, imagine the great-great-great-grandfather of a USB stick that would tell your computer how to start. Well, needless to say, my efforts, that disk never started, but something else did. For the first time, I learned that if I write code, I could bring things to life, well, at least theoretically. Because what if our lives, certain aspects of our lives are quite similar to software? We write, we test, we debug, we run, we do it all over again. And if so, what if we could apply methods and techniques from software development to our everyday lives? Something simple like inspect and adapt. That's not rocket science. Every 2 or 3 weeks, you would take a step back, would look at your code, would look how you worked, learn from it, and adapt. I see smiling faces. I'm quite sure quite a few of you do that. Even at work, with your families, with your projects, with your passions, maybe even with your hobbies. I'm absolutely certain I share a hobby with quite many of you. I'm a passionate runner. Ever since I joined that local charity run, I've been running. All my life I've been running. And every year I wanted to run further. I wanted to run faster. Well, not only when it comes to running, I was pushing it really hard. I wanted to push it. I was pushing it my whole life. I was running all my life. You could say I was quite restless. And that jump and run game called The Life of Rob even took its toll. 7 knee surgeries on my right knee, 2 collapsed lungs, 1 torn shoulder, even 1 induced coma. That didn't stop me from running. So why did I keep running? Because when I run, my body and my mind finally sync. I get into this state of flow that some of you might know from yoga, driving a car, playing with your kids. And I found out running gets me into that state of flow. Even more on long runs, long distances like marathons, and even more so on trails where the ground shifts, the colors change, where everything needs constant inspection and adaptation. One of the most beautiful trail runs in my life happened in a local forest, together with my daughter. It was this perfect, warm summer afternoon. We were overlooking the lake. We were flying through the forest. And I remember thinking to myself, it was worth it pushing it. It was worth it pushing it all those years. I finally get it. This is my code. I was happy. Mia Lou was happy too. We had the time of our life and we were running back home, and on the last few hundred meters, she challenged me for a race. And me being me, I didn't want to lose, right? So I was running after her full out. When I almost reached her, badam, bam! I twisted my knee again. Everything turned white. It was like looking into the mirror, not recognizing who I really was. I was lying on the ground. I heard my daughter's voice from a far distance, but very close. And she asked me, "Daddy, are you okay?" No, no. I was in pain and Then and there, I decided I would stop working on that code. No more running. I sold all my running gear. Man, did I have lots of space in my cupboard all of a sudden. I unfollowed every running social media hero on Instagram. I shut it all down. Control A, delete, are you sure? Enter. Abort, escape. I wouldn't be working on that code anymore. Luckily, it took only a minor surgery to get me up and running again. No, not running. Back to normal, a new normal. Well, running wouldn't be part of my life anymore. Still, I had this constant pain and discomfort that simply wouldn't go away. So I went to see my dear friend Achim, the best physiotherapy I ever ran into. I was hoping he could ease my pain and help me, and maybe I would get a massage. He didn't give me speeches. He didn't lecture me. He didn't give me a massage either. Instead, he told me, why don't you try this? Do that. Does that hurt? How does that feel? And the classic line of every physiotherapist, 10 more. I realized he was helping me to inspect my code, myself. After the session, he said, put on your shoes. It's not running shoes. Don't worry. Put on your shoes. We're going for a quick run. So we did. After 5 minutes only, we came back. He smiled at me and he said, that discomfort, that ache, is not what you have. It's what you're missing. You miss working on your code, he said. You can still run, but you have to adapt. I was stunned. From that one person, I expected to tell me, stop running, stop working on your code. I heard the very opposite. Basically, what he said is, inspect, adapt, but keep moving. Could I trust him? Maybe. But only if I inspected and adapted. No more chasing time. No more achievements. No more running away from certain things. But to move with intention, to grow. A few weeks later, my family and I, we traveled to Cape Town. Our house in Newlands was close to Devil's Peak. For those of you who've been to Cape Town, Lion's Head on the right-hand side, Table Mountain in the middle, and on the left-hand side, Devil's Peak. 900 meters of elevation gain. If you run it, 7 kilometers of trail. Short, crisp, beautiful, but also brutal. I've never ran it. So I was standing in the garden and my wife Tracy showed up. And she said, you are thinking about it, aren't you? Well, she knows me well. No point in lying. I said, yes. Don't worry, I'm not going to push it. And I'll be back by 3, I promise. So I put on my running shoes and started moving. So it was one mountain, one question. Would I still be able working on my code? So for the first time ever, I was running a trail and not focusing on the outside, but purely on the inside. I was listening. What would my body say? What would my mind say? What would it tell me? And I was screaming out loud when I reached the top. Still, I didn't enjoy the view because the peak was in the clouds, so I didn't see anything at all. Still, I felt super happy because my code was still working. And more importantly, I was still able to work on that code. So coming back to the house, I was happy, I was relieved, but I was also 2 hours late. It was 5 o'clock. So adapting almost made me miss dinner, much to the delight of my beloved wife. Coming back to Switzerland, over the next few weeks and months, a new question started to rise. And slowly the idea took shape that maybe it was time to aim for something bigger. So, leaving one peak behind, how about 13 of them? 13 Peaks is again a trail run in South Africa in Cape Town. 13 iconic peaks surrounding Table Mountain, 100 kilometers long, more than 8,000 meters of elevation gain. Well, not the typical Sunday afternoon stroll. But this time, 13 Peaks didn't enter as a challenge, as some sort of achievement, but as an inspiration, as an idea, as a direction, how to move. So I had to start moving again. I had to start running again. Some things didn't change. My family still would have to wait on top of the hills while I was running up there. The cupboard refilled quite quickly. I mean, I needed shirts again, shorts and shoes, right? But that was just the outer layer. The real work, though, happened on the inside. Every run I used as an opportunity to learn about my code, asking myself why I was running, why I was doing certain things, what I was afraid of maybe. I had to learn to listen and inspect. I had to learn to react and adapt. But most importantly, I had to learn to trust that movement itself and not achievement was the goal. Although you run 13 Peaks on your own, although you run that code on your own, it literally takes a village. For instance, my wife and my kids, they would agree to meet me on the other side of Table Mountain, bringing me fresh water and fresh food. One friend even volunteered to meet me 3 o'clock in the morning, bringing me even more water halfway down a peak. We also had to prepare and plan things that you really don't want to plan, like snakes, wildfires, cliffs. So we had a good plan. We all felt confident, and 1.5 years later, we were back in Cape Town. So standing on Signal Hill, it was about running mode, activate, and I started running again. Lion's Head, Maclear's Beacon, 6, 7 peaks down to Hout Bay. It felt great. The horizon has never been so wide. And I mean, imagine my happy face running through a field of proteas overlooking the Indian Ocean on the left-hand side and the Atlantic on the right-hand side. It felt amazing. Even my right knee was pretty happy. So I was running and running and running until my left knee, the healthy knee, started hurting. So I felt that old reflex rise, telling me to quit, to abort. Instead, I paused. I inspected. And I realized this wasn't failure. This was success. I had made it. So today, I'm still 3 peaks short, but I'm still working on my code. And I never will be done. I will keep running those peaks and maybe some more afterwards. Please don't tell my wife. But I will never be done working on my code. And neither are you. Maybe you don't run. Maybe you don't write real software. Still, you do something else. You work on your very own software each and every day, even right now. The way you show up, the way you get up, the way you treat each other, the way you treat yourself. But the big question is, are you doing it consciously? When was the last time you took a step back and looked at your own code? How much of it is truly yours? How much did you write because you were afraid of doing something? Because someone told you you're not good enough? Because you were afraid you wouldn't be loved? Or maybe even worse, how much of your code has been written by somebody else? I admit, my code wasn't truly mine, and probably still isn't. I used to run to prove something. But my code was never about proving. My code is about moving. And maybe the same is true for you. So why don't you try something very simple? From time to time, take a step back. Pause. Look at your code. Inspect and adapt. And make your code truly yours.